Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 345. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez,
Sup, people? How's it going?
Chris Seeley,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero,
Yo, yo, yo.
and Brian Majoma.
See, Tony wanted a controversy, and he got a controversy.
Yes, yeah. That earlier this week, I'm like, what's going to be the biggest gaming controversy this week? I got it.
Oh.
I got it.
You got it?
I got it, man. And it's our main topic for the night. So tonight's going to be very interesting. We don't know what's going on with Adam. He's doing some coalition work, I believe. Probably got to hit an embargo before, you know what I'm saying? Like, probably that's going up tomorrow. And Brett is Brett of the Wild, you know?
Yep.
You know
He
how that
will be
goes.
here eventually. He'll blow in and at some point.
Yeah. So, aside from, I guess, our first two topics here, not a lot happened this week, but it was an interesting week regardless. But I just find it funny, and this is going to be near the end of the show. Today would have been the big story of the day would have been the kind of botched Halo Infinite technical test, man.
Oh.
Nobody was able to get into that shit, you know? There was apparently some problem on the back end, and then when they finally fixed it, it was a swarm of people getting in, you know? So people weren't able to play it. I think that would have been the main story of today, but that didn't happen. Instead, it's been all about SSDs.
Oh, yeah.
Are you guys down with SSD? Yeah, you know me. So, PlayStation 5 got a firmware update, beta, right? To allow expandable storage, and disaster struck.
Well, I mean, did people trying out the beta have the disaster happen, or was it just speculative disaster?
No, it's a couple of things, right? So the first thing I saw on the timeline was the pricing. Let me see if I can pull that up for you guys. It was a wild. It was like, I think the highest one was like 2 terabytes was like $1,000 or some shit like that, or I forgot what it is, but I'll look it up. But it's like, hold on, how you gonna have a SSD that costs more than the PlayStation, twice as much? You know, so people were talking about this for a while, the pricing, because it was pretty crazy, and then it was revealed some of the issues. Basically, Sony said, like, yeah, because it's a beta, not all games will be supported. You're also going to have to install a heat sink into your console. Like, yo, this went absolutely insane, and it led to one of the funniest memes today. You guys remember back when the PlayStation 4 was launched, right? The big meme was, how do you trade games, right? And they just swapped games. Xbox now had its own version. Like, how do you expand your storage on Xbox? And they just stuck the expandable storage in.
Oh,
And then Tom Warren from it was a Verge, I believe he writes for. He did a comparison, like, okay, this is how long it takes for you to expand your storage on Xbox. Sticks it in, we're done. 5 seconds in the video. Then he spends the other minute and a half detailing how it goes on PlayStation. You got to open up the PlayStation. You got to do all this crazy shit, you know. So yeah, I want to know if you guys caught all of that and what your thoughts were. I got some more thoughts on it, but I want to let you guys go first. So, Carlos, man, I know you've been keeping up with this. What's your take on the SSD pricing, the process of expanding it, all that?
The installation part isn't that bad. It's just more of the sort of the whole optics around the whole thing, where, not all SSDs are compatible. It depends on which ones. Are we going to need heat sinks for all of them? Like, all of that is the confusing part. And I don't even know if Sony has released their cheat sheet of SSDs that are compatible with these. So
There's been some. I know the Seagate ones they announced today are, but yeah.
But it's just, man. If you're like a PC guy, this isn't like that big of a deal, because like you're used to these types of things. But when you're talking about consoles and sort of like people who don't really have to think that much to do stuff, they just plug and play for the most part. It can get a little bit, difficult for them. This is just reminding me sort of like the old consoles where they had like multiple peripherals, and sometimes it had years to wait for different peripherals, and sometimes it did the reports for peripherals that were never used. So it's kind of reminding me of those kinds of days. It's not the biggest of deals because at the end of the day, it is an SSD expansion. Um, but yeah, you just got to think to yourself, they should have just gone the Microsoft route. I understand what they're trying to do, trying to give people choice, and also the SSDs that they're using are much faster than the ones Microsoft is using, or the proprietary Seagate one.
Yeah.
But man, if they could have just talked to Samsung or Seagate or Western Digital, one of those people. I don't know if Western Digital makes M2 SSDs, but one of those people, and work on a proprietary one. Just don't name it Pro Stick Duo, and you'll be good.
Yeah, no, I think that's what it is though, because here's the way I see it. I'm like, okay, maybe the Xbox expandable is like less, it's not as fast, but at least it won't burn your console. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't install that heatsink in, right? So here's the thing: when you're dealing with guys like us, we know what we're doing. That's not a problem for guys like us. But mom and pop, or Joe Blow, as we like to call him, this motherfucker don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's already asking a lot that you have to take everything, take the whole thing apart. Obviously it's fairly easy to pull the things off, but at the same time, it's like, okay, how does this heatsink go in? And number one, number two, it's like, okay, why, if they're going to do this sort of thing, how come they don't have some sort of demonstration on how to do it? Like, in other words, remember, they went through all the trouble of showing you how to pull the damn console apart and all that stuff, and where the SSD is. So why not take that a bit further to make things a little bit easier? But again, it's just further more, proof that they were not ready for this.
Yeah.
Because if they had waited, let's say, the certain, the right amount of time, or designed a little longer, or designed the console to the point where it's a lot easier than having to pull everything apart to just put things in it. I mean, again, most people are just not going to fucking bother.
Yeah. Sony does have a page right now explaining how to do the process. But again, how many people are going to do this,
Who knows? Yeah. Like, number one, when you buy the fucking console, is it going to have a thing inside of it that says, hey, go to this fucking website to find out how this works?
Maybe it's going to be in that manual nobody reads,
Yeah. Is it in the manual? Was there a manual in there?
There was, but who reads that shit?
Did it? And then if you look at the manual, did it say, "Oh, hey, go to this thing," or did it have one of those handy dandy barcode scan things, which literally you scan that thing and it instantly throws you onto their website?
Yeah, who knows?
I'm trying to think whether I'm overreacting in a way because if you think about it, grandma, grandpa, mom and pops, they're not the target audience for these types of upgrades. I don't think they even know anything about this. They wouldn't buy the Seagate thing for the Xbox Series X if they had one. I think this is more towards just the hardcore people who don't want to go through the first world problems of not deleting their games and storing and storing them. So it can't get a little bit blown over proportion, but it's still annoying. But yeah.
Yeah, but these prices, like $250 and shit for 1 terabyte, bruh. By the way, and here's the other thing no one seems to be talking about, right? What do you really need this for? Expansions beyond just storing games, right? Think about it like this, right? What PS5 exclusives are coming out? Right? There are no games coming out that take advantage of this shit. So what's the point?
I mean, theoretically, what you could do is like, okay, and Digital Foundry did test this. So, like, what you could do is you can sort of take your take the because PlayStation 4's games run off of SSDs, right?
Yeah.
So if you get one of those external SSDs, there is actually a marginal improvement to load times, even with the with the external SSD. So you can play a PlayStation 4 version of any of the titles that are coming out soon, and you'll be good. You're straight if load times are an issue for you, and they'll be running the PlayStation Pro version of them, which will
but that's crazy to buy an SSD drive that's more expensive than the PS4
Then yeah,
to store and
exactly.
play your
Well, I
PS4
mean,
game.
well, no, this I'm just talking about just the cheap, off the shelf SSD, which maybe
Yeah,
has
well,
500.
This is this is what Manny's talking.
what?
Yeah.
Oh,
External, the
Manny's
external.
Yeah,
talking about, like, the,
I'm just talking about those. Like not going with the stupid crazy person option, because there's obviously nothing right now that's really going to take advantage of it, and just getting an external SSD like what Carlos just showed. Play the PlayStation 4 version of those games, because the PlayStation 4 version and the PlayStation 5 version aren't really going to be that different, especially with those multi-platform games. What is the most? I mean, other than like obviously the game will be running better on a 5, and most of the games will have a 5, a 5 patch or whatever, so they run a little bit better. And then yeah, there you go. And then wait for the real games to come out, and that'll probably be a year or two.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I agree with you that they weren't ready with this, and this
Yeah, they
is all
weren't.
half-assed because we're only getting a beta, operating system for it now that supports this shit. It's been
Yeah.
out almost a year. They haven't been able to support this shit.
So yeah, it just shows you how unprepared they are, because okay, number one, they're like, okay, we're gonna be building these things. It's like, okay, so how come you can't go to the store right now and buy this stupid SSD? Didn't people somebody actually tried to stick one of the
Yeah,
SSDs inside
and
of
didn't
there
work.
and didn't
Yeah.
work?
They locked it. They locked it till the system software was ready. So now, I mean, it's in beta, right? It's not ready yet, but
Yeah, it's just a
it's gonna
beta right
be.
now, but
But
still, man.
I have a couple questions. One, why
Oh.
is Sony allergic to SD cards? Like
Yeah.
that could have been a nice interim step, because like honestly, SD has gotten if you wanted to do last gen stuff, SD cards have gotten fast enough where you could read it. But here's the other thing: they're cheap, and you could, if you want to say, hey, just swap your game out, just move it off the main drive onto the SD card, and then put whatever is on there. That could have been a nice interim thing, and it could be in there until they were ready to do this, right? Until they're ready to add this. But this is also not well thought out, because they made this weird clamshell design. It's like, oh, we'll just put the drive in there, just like remove the giant screws, and get in here and install this thing, and I don't know if they're tone deaf. It's like, how does that look easy to the
Yeah.
normal person, right? No, it's easy what Microsoft did. That's easy, This I don't get how they were that kind of tone deaf to this thing, and also that with all the shortages, the semiconductor shortages and the rare earth shortages are making the prices go through the roof. This is why the SSDs are so expensive, right? Well, that's not their fault, but still at the same time, it's like, hey, you're telling people to go get off the shelf, and don't tell me there won't be confusion. People are not going to pay attention to this list. They're going to think, oh, well, I'll just get the cheaper one. Well, it won't work, right? They're not going to understand why, and they're going to get pissed off.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yep.
So it's a lot of confusion going on with this thing. And to your other point, the PS5 in general wasn't ready for prime time, man. Let's just be real here,
No.
Oh, yeah.
Like Xbox was, I'm just talking about design wise, but in general, this generation did not need to happen right now. Because what are we playing right now? Last gen games.
No, it
a bunch of old games, with a bunch of shit that's not ready. Everything's delayed. I mean, yes, granted, the pandemic happened, and I understand that it just delayed a lot of things. But in general, pandemic aside, still should have been all delayed.
Yeah, Carlos, what's up?
I disagree with you guys.
Uh-oh.
These motherfuckers, if this shit would have been delayed for 2022, then we would have gotten those next gen games in 2025.
Oh shit.
These dudes will milk dry the fucking PS4 by then. They'll still be doing these cross gen games, and it's like, oh hey, God of War is gonna be cross gen.
Yeah,
Horizon
I think you
Zero
might be
Dawn's
right
gonna be
about that.
cross-gen.
I think you might be right about that. Remember, we talked about this on Sunday. These guys don't wait; they just put the shit out there. Unfortunately, but I don't know, man. But yeah, with the SSDs, it's simple: delete your games. Delete your games. Save yourself some money. You don't need this shit.
Yeah, these things are way too overpriced. Unless you're someone that doesn't have the patience and has the money, then by all means.
Yeah,
but
if you got the money, you go right ahead. But yeah, no, you
Right.
don't. Nobody needs this shit.
really saying this is right now in PC enthusiast territory because they are asking you to buy the latest and best Gen 4, M2 drives,
Yeah.
right? They're like, oh, it needs to be this read speed and these brands, and they're going to make a list of compatibility, and I guarantee you, people are not going to look at that. They're going to go, oh, well, I see this old Samsung 970 for whatever, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I'll buy that, stick it in there, it doesn't work, right? You're going to have a lot of frustration, and that was a huge mistake to kind of lock that down that way. I don't know why. I can understand somewhat why they did that, but it's like, oh, your proprietary drive, yes, it's going to run at this crazy fast speed possible and doing all this optimization, but you needed to make it clear, and you didn't, that this the SSD upgrades, you should be providing these drives yourself or partnered with somebody to provide these, but instead you're just like, hey, everybody, just go out in the market and make sure you get these drives with these specs, or else. I don't
Yo,
know. That's a
I'm
bad
looking at
idea.
I'm looking at the recommendation Sony has. Yo, you need like a fucking degree in engineering to understand this shit. This is crazy. So anyway, just some of the warnings it said here. Sony Interactive Entertainment cannot guarantee that all M2 SSD drives meeting the described specifications will work on your console and assumes no responsibility for the selection, performance of or use of third-party products.
That was one of the things that I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
That part of the text. So basically, if you install a drive that Sony says can work and it fucks up your PS5, Sony will just say, "Well, sucks to be you," and then just
Yep.
walks
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, exactly that.
That's incredible. Like they literally have the balls to say, like, "Yeah, you know what? You can use these on our console, but if you use them on our console, and it breaks, it's your fault." It's like, wait, what? Like, how's that? Like, what? It's just, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yo, if Brett was here right now, he'd be going on a rant. Well, Sony, fuck that, man. These motherfuckers.
I'm not,
yeah.
and I promise I just don't want to bag on Sony all day.
Jesus Christ, man. Here's another one, Brian. Sizes for cooling structures like heat sinks vary greatly. Yeah, no shit.
Yes, that was the other thing that I want to bring up. You can only fit a heatsink up to a certain size. Now, that rings big alarm bells for me, because it's like, if you can only install a heating device for your SSD only up to a certain size, then it means that there is a limitation as to how cool it can get, which is a big problem. Because again, you want to make sure that thing stays cool as possible. So the bigger the heatsink, the better. But it's limited to a size. Is that size going to be sufficient enough to cool whatever drive you have? So here's what I'm thinking. Again, this is pure tinfoil hat, living in Mars, solar roadways, JFK was like a lizard person type thinking here.
The Earth is flat,
Yeah, Earth is flat type thinking here.
Dinosaurs weren't real. Anyway, go on.
Epstein killed himself here. I think what's really going on is that the reason why we've not seen the SSDs be compatible just yet is Sony was trying to think of a way to limit the speeds of the SSD so that it doesn't run too hot. As one of the things, it's like a universally known thing in computing. If it makes things run slower, they don't run as hot. That's the general gist of things. Mm-hmm. So I think that because they needed the SSD to run at the minimum speed of 5.5 gigabytes per second, they were seeing how far up they can push it until it basically is too much. So that way they know that, okay, this is our upper limit. So hence, let's make sure that the drive does not reach that, so that it stays within these boundaries of cooling. So my thinking is that they are purposely putting in software to make sure that it only operates within a certain bound of speed, so that it doesn't overheat.
All right, that's your conspiracy theory for the night, people.
Pure theory, but it seems to be the only thing that makes sense given what they've said in regards to there's nothing there yet. Certain speeds need to exist. The heat sinks can only be of certain sizes. So hence, combine the heatsink size with the passive cooling that you'll get. then there's some thermal limit there, and hence they just don't reach it yet. And yeah, it's just like I can understand why they went down this route, but I don't think that they fully thought of everything possible. Because if they did, then I would assume that they would move it to a position where it can be cooled by that giant ass heatsink, and it's decent enough and whatnot. But I don't know. It just seemed like they didn't fully think everything out, and it's just becoming like a giant mess, like slowly over time.
And also, I forgot how it looks exactly, but isn't the SSD that one SSD have an enclosure on it? Like, I wonder if it has proper ventilation on it. So it's like
It might not have much ventilation on it, and I don't understand why they in that that area they didn't put some like heat piping or something in there that would connect to their big ass heat sink that's in the system. You know, like Brian said, in a PC, like you're having airflow all over the place, so everything is cooled. You would think they would account for that, or at least like what I was saying before. You should have partnered with these guys. You should have went to Samsung and Western Digital and it's like, here's the system spec. If we're going to put an additional SSD in here, this is what we need, and this will be the spacing for the gap. And had them come back and go, hey, no, if you run the M2s at this speed or whatever, the heatsink will be about this size. These guys already think of this stuff and say, you need to accommodate this, and maybe I had some heat piping or something, but instead they did this unilaterally and then went out and said, okay, this is the specs you guys should make. But then they make their own drives, and then they may or may not fit, which is ridiculous. You know, it's like you should have worked with them to make that add-on happen instead of telling them what you want. Like you have almost a Steam machine situation over again.
Yeah. No, I agree, and it's just kind of funny how people don't like proprietary things, but in this case, proprietary would have been better. You know, real quick for you guys specifically on the panel, on the first topic, it's just called link. Click on that. Scroll down, you'll see more. Adam, what's up, bruh?
What's up, man? What's up?
All right. Before I get your thoughts on the whole SSD thing with PlayStation, I want to give a quick shout out to Fergus Mills for the bits, man. Appreciate that.
Yo, shout out to Fergus Mills. Man.
Always shout out to him. So, Adam, I'm assuming you kept up with all the brouhaha with the SSD, PS5, and all that, the pricing, the installation. I want to get your thoughts on everything.
So I got to see most of it, but it sounds like there's something that I didn't know. Because remember, I sent you guys in the chat when I saw that it came out with the update, the support for the SSD. But
yeah,
is there an issue with that?
Okay, so here's what's going on right now. So not every game is going to be supported with this. You're going to need to install a heatsink into this. And Sony says, hey, if one of these things fuck up, that's on you, not on us.
Well, some do come with heatsinks.
Yeah.
So right out the bat, you can do that. But man, that is horrible. That's a mess. That's a mess because then what if it's a certain game? It's a large game, and that's the main reason why you picked up the SSD to put it on there. And it's like, oh no, it won't do it. Then every time another game comes out, there's gonna have to be like a disclaimer. Oh, by the way, this won't work on your new $200-300 drive that you just bought.
Yeah, and then some of these drives, I think like two terabyte ones, like some of these are it's twice as much as the PlayStation.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's
insane.
That's horrible. I didn't know that much. I mean, is that definite or is that?
Yeah, it is. Sony says it. Sony says it themselves.
Oh, man. They said it. All right, because when I read about the whole thing coming out today, it was just that this was like a beta build, and it wasn't the final
again
OS update. But hey, if that's what they're saying,
I'm going to read this. This is right from Sony's side. By the way, Brett, what's going on, brother? Yeah, I definitely want to get your thoughts on this whole SSD debacle, but just quick, this is what Sony says. Again, not a rumor speculation. This is directly from Sony, right? Sony Interactive Entertainment cannot guarantee that all M2 SSD devices meeting the described specifications will work on your console and assumes no responsibility for the selection, performance, or use of third-party products.
All right, so they're pushing the blame if there's any issues on the developer, and that's also pointing the finger at the developer. Hey, if you want to make it fully compatible with this drive, it's up to you. You got to do it. We're not doing anything special with it. Yeah. And that sucks, though, with the whole heat thing, with the heat sink. Again, they're trying to just wipe their hands over it because they have a feeling that's going to get hot and it may
Yeah.
overheat, and they don't want any blame of you coming at them saying you need a new PS5.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just not looking
That's
good.
shitty. That's real shitty.
Yeah. Brett, have you been watching this SSD drama today? PS5.
No, I have no idea. I've been wrist deep in a tattoo, and then I had to, have an arduous journey uphill in the snow both ways to get here. It's been tough, but I made it.
Yeah. I guess I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. So they released a software beta update for PS5 that allows some M2 SS drives, expandables and all that. And the first thing that people were kind of complaining about was the prices. Like 1 terabyte was like $250. One of them was $1,000 and shit. But then you come to find out that Sony themselves said it's like, yeah, some games won't work on this. You may put your console at risk by installing these things, but we take no responsibility. And yeah, it's been. And then and Brett, I know you didn't see this. It's fucking hilarious. Remember, and Adam, I don't know if you saw this too. Remember when PS3 was coming out and they said, how do you trade games? And they just did a back and forth and shit to make fun of Xbox. So what the Xbox did today was like, how do you expand your storage on Xbox? And they just stuck the card in.
There you go.
That was it. And PlayStation and Tom Warren, what he did was from The Verge, he's like, I'm going to show you the difference between installing expandable storage on Xbox and PlayStation. So the video is about a minute and a half, right? He spends 5 seconds doing it on Xbox, and the rest of the video showing how to do it on PlayStation, because you gotta get fucking screwdrivers and all this other shit. It's crazy, man. So yeah, what's your quick take on that, Brett? Just based off of what I just said.
I mean, part of it is Sony being an asshole, and I know everybody's gonna go and be like, "Yeah, okay, there it is."
Yeah, no, we already agree. We already got that out of the way. We agree with you.
Part of it is so like you can't really expect Sony to take responsibility for third parties developing things without their consent. So I don't know. PlayStation should be trying to work with third parties, but I think their MO is they generally probably don't, because they only want their controllers to be the ones sold. So I can see where I get, and maybe I'm just trained by Nintendo back in the day. And
by the way, to be fair, Sony has no proprietary expansions at the moment. Just to get that out there.
They don't want.
Okay, so they have. Okay, so wait a minute. They have a feature that they don't make hardware for.
Yes,
but
exactly.
The people that do make the hardware are having problems,
potentially.
And they take no responsibility for that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man, this feels like the shit they did with the PSP.
It's gonna be such a pain.
No, with the Vita, you mean? With the
oh yeah.
So
the cards only they could sell, and they say,
but Sony's not selling. Sony's not selling any. That's
I know, but I guarantee you, when and if they do, it's gonna be fucking ridiculous price. And if they don't, why the fuck do you have a feature that has no product for it, and you have no supply? Like, if you're not going to make the product for it, then at least kind of release the specs so that you could work with third parties and they can develop it.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's like it would have been better if we would have had some proprietary shit here.
Exactly. I'll be surprised if they even advertise this feature now. They probably won't. It's going to be one of those things like, oh, you got to be in the know or look in the fine print. You see a little corner. It's like it supports expanded. They really, because since like we just said, they're not manufacturing it. So why should they advertise it? They don't care. If you want it, then you'll go look out for it, and then you'll go find one that works with a heatsink. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. That's pretty much it. But like I said to people, just delete your games. That's how you save storage. Delete your shit. It does suck, and again, the other point is like there are no games right now that take advantage of SSDs. Ratchet & Clank is the last PS5 exclusive coming out for who the fuck knows how long. So all you're getting is just faster games. You're not getting games that really take advantage of this shit. So again, no point for this.
Yeah, and then like I said, you could probably just download the PS2 for the PlayStation 4 version of the title, which most of the games are, and most of the games are not taking advantage of most of the features that are within the sort of the PlayStation 5. So you get one of those external SSDs like what Carlos has attached to his PlayStation 5 right now, put your PlayStation 5 4 games on there and run them off there because they actually do run a little bit faster off of a SSD connected via USB. So, what's what I've been doing? I've been on my cheesy old 4, the OG 4. I've been running it off of quite a bit of games off of the SSD.
Yeah.
You know.
Crazy stuff, man. All right. Anything else you guys want to say about this topic?
This is gonna bite them in the ass.
For the hardcore, because most people don't even buy these things, you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's gonna get to the point when we're a year or two in, and people are like, man, how do I get more space on this thing?
Yeah.
You know, with the fast speed. And then when they see the process, I'm like, what the hell? And then mainstream media is gonna cover them. Like, look what these a-holes are making people do that don't have a tech-savvy mind. They have to open it up. They have to lick their fingers. They gotta get screwdrivers and shit, and watch 18 YouTube videos. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, though, you know, you had to do the same thing for PS4, but still, you know, it's just stupid they don't make it simple, you know.
It's supposed to get easier as you get, you know, from the experience with the hardware.
This just got more complicated.
Yeah, exactly. It's going backward.
It's crazy. All right, man. Let's move on. Next topic. Still on PlayStation. We got to talk about these PlayStation 4 sales. I know we PlayStation 4 sales, but sales of some games. And I got some things to say that may upset some people. You know, all right. So
they gonna say something controversial.
They could be controversial. You know, what the fuck is this shit? All right. So PlayStation 5 has officially surpassed 10 million units sold. Remains the fastest selling console in Sony Interactive Entertainment history, which is true. At this point in time, it is fastest selling PlayStation console of all times. And right now, here's some more numbers for you. So Miles Morales has sold 6.5 billion copies across both consoles. MLB The Show 21, has sold 2 million copies. Is that on PS4 as well? That the game, or is it?
Well, Well,
actually, it's on Xbox as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on there.
It's on everything.
It's on Game Pass.
Yeah. Returnal, and we're gonna get back to this one. Returnal, a new IP, has launched with 560,000 copies. Sony calls it a mega hit, by the way. We'll talk about that in a bit. And Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, the last PlayStation 5 exclusive for who knows how long, 1.1 million copies. So,
and that's not a mega hit.
Yeah, right.
So
that's not a mega hit compared to Returnal, apparently.
So, you know, here's a couple of things that I want to bring up. So, PlayStation 5, you know, as we see, it's definitely hard to get. I'm not saying it's easy. You can't just walk into a store and get them. People are still buying them. But if we kind of go with the analysts here, we got to remove 10% of those because they're in the hands of scalpers. So 9 million sold.
Yeah.
Sold to stores. We don't know about customers, you know. Pretty good. But because of that, I think some of these games are underselling.
There's a million scalped PlayStations in circulation.
Yeah,
well, they're sitting in scalpers.
Brett. I'm shitty with math, but I think I got this right. So there's 10 million PlayStations. 10% of them are from scalpers.
Yeah.
So
no, you're right. I just find it like I knew that there was scalpers and I knew that there was a percentage, but just to put a number on it, there's a million PlayStations out there.
Think about that. That's scary, you know.
But
so
yeah, it does. It does hurt game sales, and it hurts. The one way to see, you know, who your active customers are, you don't just look at the system sales. You look at engagement, right? So engagement is PlayStation Plus subscriptions and purchases on the store, and you look at the game sales, right? So then it's like, well, this doesn't quite match. You have 10 million units in the market, but you know, some of your biggest titles aren't selling as well as they should be, right? That's because a lot of them are sitting with scalpers and not being used at all because they're trying to sell them, trying to resell them. So it definitely does hurt their soft numbers.
Yeah, like look at Ratchet and Clank, for example, right? And I will say this, just to get it out there, right? Ratchet and Clank is always been one of those franchises that has done well, but never been a blockbuster, super blockbuster, right? It's just done better than other titles, right? PlayStation titles, but not on like Last of Us, Uncharted, not on those levels, right? So, but I was, maybe I was wrong here. I was under the assumption like, okay, because there are no actual PS5 games, very few of them, Demon's Souls like the only other one I could think of, this game will do well on that. But it kind of goes to show it's like people kind of don't care. And, based anecdotal, obviously, just based off of the replies I got, because I'm like, why the fuck aren't you buying this game? There's nothing out. Almost like 70% of responses were, this game is interesting, I don't want to pay $70. Interesting, right? So that's going on there. So you have a franchise that's not historically been a mega seller, and $70, people are kind of wary, Then, of course, we got Returnal. Your boy got into some heat with some of these fanboys, man.
Uh-oh.
Because Sony, and I am not making this up, Sony literally said, a game that sold 560,000 copies is considered a mega hit, right? And some people are saying, oh, it's an indie game. It probably didn't cost that much to develop. It is a mega hit. Listen, I'll give you hit. I will give you hit all day, every day. Not mega hit. No fucking way. You want to tell, if you want to tell a game, an indie game as a mega hit on a 10 million system, sold console, 3 million. That's a mega hit for a game like that. Less than 1 million? No, that's not a fucking mega hit. And then again, by that metric, why the fuck isn't Miles Morales considered a mega hit? That's 6.5 million copies. No one's calling that a mega hit, but Returnal's a mega hit. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not buying that shit. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. But yeah, I mean, again, like we talked about, these numbers are good for Sony, but when you have that many scalpers that have inventory, kind of sucks. And like you said, Chris, look at the engagement. Even Jim Ryan, our boy Jim Ryan, was like, yeah, the engagement is kind of not there because these motherfuckers are sitting on so many consoles, Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want. That's where the consistent revenue comes from. I mean, it's like Microsoft can live with lower system sales, right? Look how many Game Pass subscriptions they have and xCloud users and whatever. That's what they're looking for. That's the recurring income that you have from subscriptions. Sony is not having that because these guys are sitting on systems that they can't flip. So these systems are essentially dead. Even though you got the initial sale in the store from these guys just buying up boatloads of them to resell them, they're not being used. And a lot of people aren't going for it, right? So those systems are just sitting in somebody's garage while they try to flip them and not being used.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got the fact that these PlayStation exclusives are $70. People are like, fuck that. And I think also the other thing that happened with Returnal is, let's just be honest, and we said this before, right? Sony put a bait and switch on you, right? How did they advertise the game? Third-person narrative-driven sci-fi game, right? Action game. Yeah, let's fucking go. It's not that at all. It's a fucking roguelike, indie roguelike, just with nicer graphics. And a lot of people, I mean, we saw the people percentage who finished. Nobody finished this fucking game. Very few people got past the first boss. Think about that, And I'm keeping it real right now because a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, Tony, you didn't beat the game. You didn't get past the third boss." Most people didn't get past the third boss. I'm more ahead than most people because most people can't even beat the first boss. So yeah, go ahead, man.
Shit, I can't beat the price.
You can't beat the price. And you're charging $70 for that game. Oh. I'm gonna say it. I don't give a fuck who gets mad. And Carlos, you go next. This game should have been a PS Plus game, man. I said it.
You did the plus.
Spicy.
Go ahead, Carlos.
I think the game did well for what it is. I mean,
it did well, Carlos, but it's not a mega hit. Do you think it's a mega hit?
I think it's not a mega hit. I mean, someone mentioned in the comment section, I forgot who was Nayusi. Mega literally means million.
Yeah.
Yep. 10 to the power 6. That's literally what mega is. And it's didn't even sell a million. So it's obviously a lot of that discussion can get into a semantics war because people sometimes bring in their own definitions to what different words mean.
Not with this one. Mega's a million.
So yeah, so they what's it called? Damn, I lost my train of thought.
Oh,
Oh yeah, Returnal in any console generation, in any time frame, in any year, would have sold kind of like how it did. It's not that's not a game that's like for the masses. It's not a Spider-Man game. It's not a God of War. It's not even a Horizon or Death Stranding. It's a niche game that got a lot of hype because it was the only thing around.
yeah.
So people who think this should have sold 1 million, I think those expectations were a bit too high, in my opinion. 500,000 is a success for this type of game.
Oh, yeah.
And they should be happy
But
with.
he's
how
right.
well
It's
they've
not
done.
that's not a mega hit.
Yeah, it's not a mega hit.
Yeah, it's not a mega hit. Yeah.
You know, no. So that's my sticking point with that statement. Mega hit, sure. You can say hit all you want. Don't give me that mega. You know.
Don't give me that mega.
Don't give me that mega. You know. By the way, I want to play Million Man, my favorite Capcom game.
Million Man.
Yeah, Million Man. And then Ratchet and Clank, kind of disappointing. The only PlayStation 5 game, nobody's buying it. Ain't that something?
I mean, people are buying it, but again, it's like
It's a mega hit.
That actually is a mega hit.
It has a mega hit. But yeah, but at the same time, again, Ratchet and Clank games were not are not cornerstone titles. They are released in conjunction with other titles around it. Just like how Gravity Rush or a bunch of the other titles that are not like top of the food chain, you had other titles around it. You have the big heavy hitters, and then you had things to fill in the gaps, fill in the space. Middleware games.
Yeah. So that's what's going on there. But again, it's like a middleware game could have been elevated to something else, but that price, I wonder if it would have done better. And then the other question I have, I guess this is for the panel here, because, again, correct, like, is my thinking wrong in this? Because to me, I'm like, $60, $70, is $10 really that big of a stretch?
No, not really.
Because again, people online are making it like $70 is too much.
$10. It's $10 more dollars.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Is that? But is that really is that what breaks it for some people?
Well, yeah. I mean, okay. Here, look at it this way. So, a $70 game, right? That's $10 more dollars.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna need to buy the fucking season pass. That's gonna be another $30, and that's not even gonna cover the fucking DLC for some reason. So that's gonna be another $30 or $40. So to get the whole game, man, I'm looking at paying up between $125 and $150.
Yeah, but
Like,
I'm not talking
honestly,
about that. I'm just saying. I'm
fucking
just saying.
sick of it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. But again, for this game specifically, there is no DLC, there is no expansion. It's just $70, and people are saying
People
that's too
don't think
much.
it's worth it. They don't
Yeah.
think it's worth it.
I think
The
that
game
may be
has
what
to
it
be
is.
worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Are
no,
we
but
talking about Returnal still? Yeah,
No.
that game is not worth it.
Oh yeah, Returnal's not worth it. Like I said, I should have been a PS Plus game. Just being real. But again, some people literally said like, "Oh, that's too steep of a price for me." I'm like, again, I'm trying to see if because I'm not fucking rich or nothing, but I'm like $10. That's nothing, bro. But I don't know. I guess maybe I think maybe for some people maybe it is.
Well, the idea of $70, it is only $10 more, but it's $70. $60 is still a lot of money,
Yeah, but again, Manny, you just brought made me think about this. Maybe my view of this is skewed because remember, we used to pay $70 back in the '90s. So maybe my perception is kind of skewed. I'm like $70. We paid $80 for games, but you're right. It's like if you grew up with $50, $60 games, that might be a little too much.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it went up to 60 was a big deal when that happened. So, I mean, to be honest, that just means that I'm not going to be buying games. At least for me, I'm not going to be buying games all willy nilly when I eventually make the decision to go to to the next gen. You know.
So
and we should add that. At the moment, it's only really PlayStation that's charging $70 for exclusives.
Yeah, I mean,
most games are still $60.
I could just shine up and get me an Xbox, play all the other games, and then just
Xbox
pop
Game Pass.
Pop on the PlayStation every so often.
Yeah, Carlos, what's up, bro?
I don't understand. Do you guys think if Returnal was 60, that would have sold more?
Oh no. I'm talking for this case. I'm talking about Ratchet and Clank. I'm talking about Ratchet and Clank. Yeah. Returnal should not have been. I'm sorry, shouldn't have been more than $30, man. You know, I don't. That game is not for the like you said, Carlos. It's a niche game, not for the masses. I'm specifically talking about Ratchet and Clank. You know,
Well, Ratchet and Clank's not even that big of a franchise.
it's not.
Crash Bandicoot is way bigger than this than Ratchet and Clank, and and when you think of Crash Bandicoot, you think it's just like it's a super popular game, but not like at the God of War Last of Us level.
For sure.
Yeah.
So and that's even so. What's it called? Ratchet's even below that. So it's just they're not the most catch-all big net type of games. I think it sold. I think I read the article from MPD where they said that it sold them. Well, we know that it sold 1 million from the Sony quarterly report.
It's the quarterly report.
The MPD said that it was the best-selling game of June.
Yeah, it was.
And it sold twice as much in its first month than any of its predecessors.
Yeah.
So, it sold twice as much as first month than even the best-selling Ratchet game, which I think is the first one. So I think it did really good. This isn't a $5 million selling game.
No.
It never was.
Again, my whole thing was like, damn, man, even when there's no games out, it can't crack that even 2 million. But no, it still did well. It's still going to get sequels and all that. But I'm wondering,
it's going to do 2 million.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm just wondering if the $70 price is going to ultimately hurt some of these games, But then again, I'm thinking about if it Last of Us, motherfuckers are going to pay that $70. They're going to pay $70 for God of War. Gladly pay it,
The only time $70 price games is gonna make people question themselves are the type of games that $60 price tag would have made them question the game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If someone is set on buying Call of Duty and Madden and FIFA each year, $70 doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If The Last of Us, if for any Fallout, a freaking what's it called, GTA. It's not even us that buys that damn game more than 4 times. It's almost everyone that buys it more than once. So it's the $70 games is only pricey to people who aren't really looking forward to the game.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. Because they'd be saying that about $60 games. If they don't that game, if they don't care about that game.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right.
If Kojima comes out and says, "Hey, I'm releasing a new Metal Gear Solid game and it's $80," are Kojima fans gonna be like, "No, $80? I don't know about that."
I would be.
Not me. I'll be like, "Give me that shit."
You're not. No, you're not.
You're full of shit. You're full of shit right now.
Only if it comes with shit. Only comes.
Look at this guy,
It'll
Carlos.
come in a box. It'll come in a box. It'll come in a box.
It'll come in a box. It'll come in a box.
If it comes with a baby inside of a tube, okay, I'm good with that.
That shit is crazy, man. Anyway, any last words on these PlayStation sales?
Sure, they happened.
Oh man,
I do find the whole amount that it sold to be quite fascinating because, again, it just goes to what I've always thought is that the majority of people that buy the consoles, they don't buy the exclusives. They buy it for stuff that's not exclusive.
Fortnite,
so far,
Call of Duty.
Yeah, and again, as you said, these guys probably don't give a damn about $7 games. They're just like, oh, does it have Fortnite? Yep. Then they buy it, and that's it. Which is fascinating because then how does Sony and Microsoft get that audience to buy their games?
Yeah, no, you're right.
I have no idea. I'm just throwing that out there as a thought I often have. And I think the sales are on the rather low side. I was expecting Return to be at least 1 million or so. So I was very
mega
very
seller,
surprised.
Brian. You say?
Yeah. Again, look at all the advertising that they did. They showed it off 3 times and whatnot. It was the big March game, So I was like, okay, these guys will probably sell quite a bit. It looks quite nice, It's feels very different and fresh. Lots of parkour effects, very next gen looking, So I was expecting something else, but guess not. And Ratchet and Clank, I'm very surprised at that because again, they were advertising it like crazy here. I mean, like billboards, like TV shows, adverts, So I was like, okay, so they have like the Sony advertising stuff now. But no, it just didn't seem to move that much, which is fascinating. So
Well,
I really wonder how much of is how much of the sales is due to like the scalpers, the pricing, and the fact that, well, the idea that people just don't care about Ratchet and Clank, or like the general mass audience don't care about Ratchet and Clank. Like, I wonder how much each part contributes to it.
Well, going back to my old thing, Ratchet and Clank was never this big of a franchise, and the game has 10% of the system. There's 10 million PS5s out in the wild, and a million of them, a million of them have sold.
Yeah.
And that's only in 20 days. The game came out in what is it, June 11th?
Yeah.
Those are just the numbers till the end of February. So it's from June 11th to June 30th. So those are the only days that are being taken into account for the Ratchet numbers, because the quarter ends in June. So it's not so this still in July it could have sold another million. We don't know. But especially there's only 10 million PS5s are out, so a million's pretty good. But then it's not a Mario Nintendo kind of thing where those motherfuckers are like, half of the freaking console owners own those damn games.
Yeah, I mean, they're still in the NPDs,
You also have to remember that this is Sony's longest running IP that they have.
Yeah, for now,
it
it is.
In the PS2 days, it has been around for a long time. So is it fatigue, or has it just never caught on? And if it's never caught on, then why does Sony keep on trying? It's very odd. Again,
well, the thing is, Brian, because they keep selling at least 1 million. I think that's why.
It sold 1 million in 20 days.
Yeah, I mean, it does pretty good. It's not a Last of Us, it's not an Uncharted, but it does well. It's not like like Gravity Rush. Like nobody really bought that. These games sell millions. These are mega sellers. But they're not ultra sellers.
I know what is a mega ultra sellers.
Yeah, mega ultra, super ultra mega. That's the thing I always used to say.
Ultra.
Super ultra mega. One word. All right, man. Let's move on. What are we talking about here? Oh, we got to talk about our boy Shawn Layden, man.
Oh,
he may have taken a dig at Xbox, at Game Pass specifically. So he says that $10 subscriptions can't fund $120 million budget games. Big AAAs.
Watch them.
What do you say, Brett? What do you say about that?
Watch them.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, boom. Like, fucking watch him do it. Like, keep talking shit. That's nothing but shit talk. Like, unless you fucking sat down and done the math and show me how, you can't convince me of that. And the reason why is because subscription services for pretty much anything else haven't stopped them from dumping millions of dollars into miniseries, shit like Game of Thrones, movies. It doesn't, having HBO doesn't stop movies from putting millions of dollars into movies.
Well, I mean, HBO's subscription used to be quite a bit more than that, than 10. And I mean, if you're going to use the Netflix the defense on this, it is multiple times that you hear that Netflix is not profitable because they blow so much money on on all of their content, so they're only just paying for everything.
No, I get that, but it doesn't, just because it has Game Pass for a lot of games, for first party games, for Xbox, sure, they're probably going to come first day one, but otherwise they're going to live out their normal cycle. Game Pass is not where you go to get the newest games. It's games that you get to play in a few months when you've got time, which is perfect for casual people. Like, yeah, man, I totally want this game, but I'm still working on this other game. Now wait for it to come out on Game Pass. But
the main thing that they want, they're nobody's going to be yes, it's more like if you're at a movie theater and they're showing a movie that you want, but you can, if you stick around, you get to see other stuff, to see all the other films, right? But at the same time, you're not getting in the theater because of that, because of the other films that are coming after the main event, and that's what Shawn Layden is talking about. He's talking about funding those Halos, funding those big titles, and if the subscription even pay for any of that sort of stuff, or is it just, or are they just going to continue to keep pushing, pouring money on top of it? Like even Uncle Phil himself has said that currently Xbox Game Pass has not been profitable.
Yeah,
No.
Aaron
I
Greenberg
get that,
just
but
killer.
we're not talking about if it's profitable. We're talking about if it's going to stop them from putting...
Profit and game funding are at least hand in hand.
Okay, well, let's do the math.
Because you've invested in these new titles. Those new titles are the things that are going to get new subscribers. So, and that's the larger question: is this sustainable, or are they just going to keep, or are they just going to be just teetering on the edge like Netflix has been?
Okay, well, let's do the math. How many subscribers does Game Pass have? What was the last milestone we passed?
How many do they have now? I honestly don't know. But while somebody's looking it up, I want to read Shawn Layden's specific statement about this. He goes, "It's very hard to launch a $120 million game on a subscription service charging $9.99 a month. You pencil it out, you're going to have 500 million subscribers before you start to recoup your investment. That's why right now you need to take a loss-leading position to try to grow that base. But still, if you have only 250 million consoles out there, you're not going to get 500 million subscribers. So how do you square that circle? Nobody has figured that out yet."
23 million.
Yeah, 23 million.
So he's saying you need 500 million to so all the numbers all balance out.
Okay, so like if you need 500 million, hold on. Okay, times $10 a month.
That's $1 billion. That would be $1 billion, right?
$5 billion a month.
Yeah.
He says you need $5 billion a month of income before you start throwing millions of dollars at investing in games.
I think,
okay,
Brett, I you also need to see that not everything goes to Microsoft off that $10 per month. I think it all goes to if it's as part of the contract, then maybe X amount goes to certain developers off that $10 per month. So I think that they are accounting for that. But even then, that does seem really high. 500 million subscribers. That seems odd.
And especially since a game budget is spread out over years, right? It's not per month, right? It's like if Destiny, what was Destiny, $500 million? But that was over years of development, you know, and that's one of those unicorns, right? Like no game is at that level of budget.
No, I mean
they're high, but not that high.
So at $9.99, I don't know what the split is, but that's bringing in, $23 million every month.
Yeah, but that's not going to one place. It's not only one person.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not all going to...
In a sense, in the sense, he is sort of right, where it's like, okay, you need to, if you're going to be doing the subscription, it's going to be going everywhere. It's not going to that specific thing. So I can understand what he means, but yeah, billion sounds like a lot of money, but at the same time, it's like he's also talking about the rising costs of modern gaming, which means HD, ultra HD development, which is a lot different than
4 games a year. Doesn't fucking cost that much when you're only releasing 4 games. If we're talking 2 games every month, sure, we could be talking about this. But even with the rising cost, so times 12, $2.76 billion. You're saying if you make $2.76 billion a year, you can't throw a couple $100,000 at a proprietary game, or a couple $100 million at a proprietary game? That's not an option that's on the table. You can't do that 4 times. You can't carve. You can't carve.
Again, all that money is not going directly toward those.
No, I know, but when you're bringing that kind of,
again, it's being spread between a bunch of different sources. So
I
mean, we don't
understand
know.
that.
We don't know how much of that. Like, okay, out of all of that money, if we knew the percentage of every single person that every single studio that's on there, and then whatever is left for development, that is the amount of money that goes toward their thing. But again,
I
he
think
didn't say that either, though.
I think what's his name? What's his name? Tony.
Oh, Shawn Layden.
Shawn
Shawn
Layden.
Layden?
I'm like, yeah. If his $500 million subscriber is fucking egregious. That's
Well,
that's.
it's a
you're-
great. I
you're-
mean, Netflix, as long as they've existed, they're only at 210 million,
If
and they're the
if
top streaming service, right?
if
That's
if oh sorry.
no.
If
That was my point.
if if Xbox Game Pass has 500 million subscribers, you can fucking take them off from Microsoft and put them on the S&P 500. That's how crazy it'll be. But I still, I'm not with Shawn Layden with those egregious numbers, but I do kind of agree a little bit with that model, and I have to push back a little bit on Brett, because I have to. I always do.
I mean, that's fair.
So-
You keep me in check.
So Brett, you mentioned they release only 4 games a year, but that's not how much development costs. They have like what 16 studios working at the same time. Like they're not just there's not 4 studios working at a time. All of them are working at a time. Like the initiative is developing their game, 343, the coalition, all of those are rare. Making another Pirates of the Caribbean DLC. They're all working at the same time. So it there might be $400 million games, a year or less, but they're all working at the same time. But I still,
No, I get you bring up a good point, and I know we don't know how this carves out. I don't think that they're bleeding out 80% to developers to rent their games and put them on Game Pass, leaving them with just a sliver. But I don't know. All I'm saying is that is an insane amount of money to even be bringing in. And even if you just get a small fraction of that, you can throw money towards games. They don't all have to be giant budget games, but I would be really interested to see what the annual budget for PlayStation's game development is. Like, I would actually.
And then there's also operation costs of keeping the service up. There's also
I
a
know.
bunch
Yeah,
of
no,
people
you
there,
don't keep the server farms, and there's a bunch of people that work for it. There's customer service, and there's HR, and
So
there's the whole nine yards.
I feel like it's not just game development. He's also talking about. I think he's talking about He's talking about profitability of the service and the operation costs of the whole thing in general, not just developing a game. But then again, he didn't say that. So yeah,
it's also important to mention that Game Pass isn't the only source of revenue for Xbox. They've also sold over 6.5 million consoles, which is pretty decent. And they've also, they're also still selling the games, even though they're free on Game Pass. They're still selling the games, outside of that, so they could still make revenue there, and also from the Xbox Live services that they still have people on. So
they don't ever say what their sales are anymore, do they?
No, I don't think so.
No, they don't anymore.
Okay.
Well, have they released a game in the last year?
No.
They haven't,
They have not. Well, they have nothing to brag about. Maybe the amount of people that have logged into Sea of Thieves and how many people have walked, and sailed across the world. They have that to brag about.
Into Davy Jones's locker.
Real quick, you guys. Just to put everything in perspective, as of 2020, the average median cost of game development was between $60 and $80 million for the full game.
Yeah. What about advertising and upkeep?
The advertisement they could go hundreds of millions of dollars on. We've seen that shit. That's where Destiny dropped. They have $500 million, but $250 million of it was in advertising.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about advertising with game development, especially when you have a service that is already advertised and would be news when it came to said service. You don't have to put it on the commercials to get your player base to watch something or to play something that is already on your streaming service that they're already subscribed to. It's you don't really need to do that as much. So let's take not the marketing for the sake of argument. Let's take the marketing out of it and say $60 to $80 million per game. Right?
Okay.
Fair?
Sure.
Okay. How do you want to do the math? You want to say what they bring in? How much do you think is actual profit? I would say general business terms say about 50%. That's where people they generally try and aim, is to have their cost be about 50% of their earnings. So I'm going to kind of take that as a base tally, unless anybody has a problem with that.
I don't know. It already sounds like we're going into assumption territory right now.
Yeah.
I'm using averages and means, man. It's not assumption. It's the best educated guess we can get using numbers.
Yeah, but you're kind of assuming how much of that is profit, right?
I'm assuming that half of everything that like they're bringing in might be going out to the people that they're licensing games from, and the upkeep of the server farms and such. So yeah, like most business, and I understand it's not super profitable right now. I understand that, but generally you want to hit in business a 50% mark. So yes, for sake of argument, in assumption, let's actually say, you know what? Let's cut that in half again. Let's say 25% of all the money they bring in is actual money that stays in there. You know, they not talking about R&D or anything like that. Just straight, that's their profit, which I think is highly conservative. It's still $690 million.
Yeah.
Annually. How many games can you develop with that? So in the spirit of the question, do I think that they would still be able to spend millions of dollars on developing video games? Yeah, when you look at the numbers, spending $60 million when you're making $700 million a year easily, conservative estimate, it's not super profitable right now because they're sinking so much into game development. It's not that it's not profitable on its own. It's that they are holding 16 studios in constant development, and that's where all their money is going. And they're trying to build up a library. So yeah, I agree that they're not super in development, super in profit right now. But can you really look at these numbers and say that we can't squeak out $250 million for development of video games this year?
Yeah, again, I don't know how these people, parse all the money out. Because remember, some games get more money than others. Some studios get more money than others. That's just how it is. Some are just prioritized.
I really doubt Psychonauts will cost more than $20 million.
Yeah, Psychonauts. Yeah, exactly.
And also, let's also say Psychonauts was already paid for. They inherited Psychonauts.
Oh, that is
so
true.
Microsoft didn't really need to pay much to develop it.
All they got to do is just advertise this shit.
Psychonauts is not a big AAA game. It's not a
AAA game. No, but again, Psychonauts also is not a game that they actually paid for. It's something they inherited.
Yeah, and they're not even necessarily advertising it hugely.
Also, Sea of Thieves didn't look that expensive. So
no.
They didn't even have the money to fucking do the other half of the Kraken.
They don't seem to. I notice a lot with gaming, not like film, where they actually sort of tell you how much games cost these days. They sort of kind of keep it mum.
With films.
No, as far as games, like they don't go like, "Hey, this game costs."
Well, no, they don't tell you that.
They don't do that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the bigger titles that Microsoft's going to release are the Bethesda ones. Halo and Gears are the other ones, but who knows? Maybe some of the other studios, what's it called? Ninja Theory doesn't really make AAA budget titles.
No, they're in the line of work where they want to make what they call double A with AAA quality. So in other words, they're smaller games with smaller teams, but they have a big budget look and feel. That their proof of concept was Senua's Sacrifice.
Okay, I'm just curious. So I know I haven't won some of you over, so I'm gonna ask the opposite question. Like, what makes you think that they wouldn't invest millions of dollars into games anymore because they're on a subscription service?
No, they're investing in what Microsoft is investing in right now is potential. The potential to be profitable.
Yeah, but the question said
I do agree with that. I do agree with that. But what Mr. Layden says is that this cannot be sustained with a subscription service.
Okay, and why does
By
that
the way,
ring
Brett,
true to you?
and Brett, when you say try to win us over, what are you
I'm
trying to
not
win
trying
us
to win.
over?
I'm trying to see your point of view. I'm not trying to be antagonistic here.
I have
I'm
no
genuinely
kind of,
being like,
I have no real point of view on this thing. I just feel like, oh, maybe well, I do sort of agree with Layden on this. I don't think that this it can fully become profitable, especially with the rising costs of games and the expectations of gamers. But maybe that's what Microsoft is looking for, just the teeter on the edge of profitability. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I don't.
go ahead.
I think Microsoft isn't at a point where they're anywhere near satisfied with their subscription numbers. I think they're trying to build them up more and more. I don't think they need to do 500 million like Shawn Layden says. I think that's egregious. But if they do like maybe around 50 to 60 million by next year, I think that's a good place to be.
Yeah,
Um,
they're looking for growth, and you look for growth over long term. That's why all these studios have jumped into the streaming business. I mean, AT&T bet the farm on HBO Max, right? They didn't bet the farm and do simultaneous release and lose a box office money, to just teeter on the edge. They're like, no, we just grow this over time. We're gonna take some losses, but then we build up the subscription base, and then you start seeing returns, right? And I agree with Carlos. Like, it's 500 million. That's insane. That's it. I mean, you could stream Netflix on a potato, and they don't have that kind of numbers. So how's he think this is gonna work? Like, they're gonna sell 500 million Xboxes? Get out of here.
Well, it's about the subscriptions, and like we said before, there is a potential there, like even potential to get billions of subscriptions, but it hasn't happened yet, obviously. But Sean's just again, I'm trying to figure out his numbering here. You know what I mean? Like
It makes no sense.
billions
He's
of
talking out of his ass.
yeah, like I kind of don't understand. And the thing is, he has no reason to talk shit. He's not associated with Sony anymore.
But no, here's the weird thing. He sounds like he's doing the math. That's the part that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason I'm kind of arguing the way that he sits down and he breaks down the math, but doesn't actually break it down and gives you this fucking ludicrous number that, like I said, like, wait a minute. If it's $10 a month and you need this many, like, that is an obscene. That's the wealth of the small country.
Brett,
yeah,
Brett, you gotta understand.
Yeah, go ahead,
you gotta understand where he got that number, though.
Okay, yeah, help me understand where that number comes
Yeah, where do you
from.
get that number?
It's from the depths of his ass.
Yeah.
God damn, I walked into that.
I think he said something
good
along
work.
the lines of like, oh, if you have a AAA game that costs like $200 million to develop, like, oh, yeah, but not everybody's doing that, Microsoft sure as fuck isn't.
I mean, you could do one of those a year.
Yeah.
I actually have like some thoughts on this.
Uh-oh.
I have two thoughts. Don't worry, they're perfectly fine. The first thought is, yeah, I can kind of agree where Shawn Layden is coming from. Like, but I think Sean's only looking at it from the point of view of if you only have Game Pass and Game Pass is your source of income and that's it, then maybe there's not enough left over to put money into those games, which may be the case. But then again, like maybe Microsoft's not using Game Pass as its only source of revenue. Again, as Carl said, they have Xbox Live, consoles, and Windows money. So I think if you add that up, they are perfectly fine. And also, how long did they take to recoup the $7.5 billion from Bethesda? It was like 2 months or something done like that. It was
very quick.
Microsoft or Xbox?
Microsoft, because this is all Microsoft. So,
Microsoft.
Microsoft was screwed up real quick. Remember these motherfuckers trying to say, oh, they need to do this to recoup the loss. Like, this is Microsoft, bro.
Yeah, and in a quarter or two, they probably did it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the other thought is, if that's the case, that like Game Pass cannot support these big budget AAA games, maybe that's a good thing. Because one of the big things that we've been seeing is that game dev costs are just skyrocketing like mad for various reasons. So maybe this might be the check that keeps game costs in, the balance that keeps the game costs in check. Because you can't keep having it so that every generation game costs just double. It's just not going to work.
I like that answer.
So maybe this will say like, hey, like, let's not just like pour all this money into all this development over like 8 years and costs go up like $300 million and whatnot. So maybe it'll like force them to be a lot smarter with how they approach development. So hence there's a possibility we could get, as I think Brett said, AA games that look AAA, and for the most part, that's fine. And then only like maybe once every 4 or 5 years, we get like a big budget, like massive open world game. We get like a GTA like every 5-6 years.
It was me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't me. We can't get a G. That's still more GTA than we're getting. But another thing I want to point out is, when Microsoft does this many studios, they're already like using a shitload of Bethesda assets sprinkled throughout the rest of their studios. They are synchronizing, maybe synergy is the right word, whatever the fuck the word is. They're having talent work across studios, and that's going to basically share the assets that you already have and help streamline the process too. So they can be more efficient with the way that they spend money, because they're like the fucking Walmart of game development now. They're fucking huge and they have everything. So I think that could help as well. But like, yeah, if you have a top end on a game, people will be creative in the way that they use it. People make really good games with not millions and millions of dollars. It does the increase in quality versus the increase of cost do not seem proportionate. I mean, up to a certain point, and then after that, it just seems you're just blowing money for no fucking reason. So I still maintain, though, I don't think that we're going to see Game Pass blow up and then in 2 years not be getting AAA games anymore. I think that is, for some reason, like, that just sounds to me like, I mean, it may be good now, but just you wait. They're gonna get you in, and then you're not gonna have anything. Like, it just sounds like a weird shit talk, just straight up shit talk. The numbers don't add up, and I have to say, I still think that they'll spend millions of dollars on games because they just spent billions of dollars on a studio. I don't see Microsoft skimping out on the cost when trying to recoup their losses. And even after, I don't, they're going to want to maintain and hold that audience. They've lost before. They were ahead for a while, and then they just lost fucking everybody. They know what it's like to just bottom out as a company. I don't think they're going to want to do it again.
Yeah. All right. I guess we'll see. Move on. Next story here. What are we talking about? Hold on. I didn't have the camera. Like I said, I believe that if it wasn't for the whole SSD debacle, this would have been probably the big story of the day, because not everything went well with the Halo Infinite launch, the technical test launch. Nobody got to play it. And there was something on the back end. I'll read it to you guys in a second as soon as I'm finished here. All right, so what I'm getting this from Windows Central, right? And this is from, I believe, Brian Gerard. He's community manager over there at 343 Industries. At this exact moment, the team is working through an issue that required rebuilding / redeploying / re-verifying dedicated servers. This takes time, and then if it's looking good, we hopefully are go. Would def be worse if we released this and found out more to come? So that was one of the first tweets he put out there. Because people are trying to, because the launch was supposed to happen today or Thursday or whatever, and it just, people were not getting their emails and shit, and when they try to log on, all this nonsense, and apparently it was some problem on the back end, and then it says here, 343 Industries Community Director Brian Gerard has issued further updates on the Halo Infinite technical preview rollout. The studio has warned that ongoing server holdups remain at large. Oh boy, with its initial fix failing to correct the issue. So they didn't fix the first issue. And he goes, the initial fix for the issue didn't work out as expected. After further investigation, a new approach was implemented and is being tested. Unsure if it will require another full redeployment, waiting test pass completion. So he said all this on Twitter. So this was supposed to go on over the weekend. I'm wondering if they're going to at least extend it by a day, because nobody got to play this shit. I saw some people at the end of the day finally sneak in there, but imagine if you're the one guy who gets in there and then nobody else to play, because nobody can get in, And then the last thing he said here, we are proceeding with a full global server redeploy as part of this fix, which will take time. As soon as we get US West online, we can start preliminary testing there in Paracel. Team is working nonstop as far as they can. Our quote-unquote afternoon PT target is pushing into evening. Man. So did anybody in here sign up for this thing, the Halo test? I guess that's a no. Oh, you did? Okay, so Carlos, did you try, man? Did you get, what's your experience with it?
No, I signed up, what was it, last night or 2 nights ago?
Yeah.
Just because, the people were talking about it in the Discord. I'm like, let me just sign up, just see what happens. I haven't gotten an invite yet.
No.
But yeah, I've been seeing all the people talking about how they haven't been able to do anything. But at the end of the day, it is a test.
It is a test.
So this is not. It's not like, hey, we're promising you a game because you paid something. It's like, no, you're here to test this, and this is part of the test.
Yeah, and this is just the first test. The first test. There's going to be many.
They discovered this issue on the first test.
Imagine if this was on launch day.
Oh, forget it. Yeah.
Here's what I can't understand.
Yeah.
So, they had a game, and they knew it didn't work, so they didn't put it out?
Yeah.
That just seems weird to me in today's day and age. Usually they just say, fuck it, throw it out there and fix it later.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I think it had something to do with the servers. I don't think
it was the servers. So it was the servers. The game wasn't launched yet, obviously. The game ain't launched until November.
Yeah, but I'm so used to hearing the game, tried to launch and it basically came out like a baby deer and then fell on its face. That's kind of the shit I'm used to hearing. Like it went badly, so it's kind of one of those like, wait, so they just didn't do it? I guess that's new. It sounds like they're really afraid of backlash. So I mean, cool.
Oh, it's not that they stopped it. It's just that they couldn't make it.
They couldn't start it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, maybe that's not much better. So
yeah. So it's a test. I mean, people are gonna complain, but at the end of the day, you gotta see these things. It's like I'll put you in the mind of a developer. Sometimes when you construct code to test and you do your test cases and you're like, okay, all these tests pass, and then you send it off to another environment so they can test it. Sometimes you hope that they tell you like there's all these issues in your code, because you don't want these things to arise whenever you promote this to where everyone can see your code, So sometimes it's better to find these things out before they pop up, when launch date comes out.
Yeah. And again, they will have several tests before the game comes out. We still don't know exactly when it's going to come out, but what I'm going to say right now is going to sound funny as fuck, but I'm being genuine here. But according to a Mexican donut chain, it's coming out in November.
What?
There's some promotional thing going on in Mexico with some chain that sells donuts, and they said, en noviembre vamos a jugar Halo. So it's like, wait, you just said November? What the fuck? Because even Microsoft hasn't said it yet. So if the Mexicans are right, we're going to be playing this in November.
Obviously, they're making Halo there.
I wonder if they got fucking hot sauce in them donuts.
We still no, we don't. We still haven't. We
Yo,
still
got
haven't
donuts
gotten a
on
date,
there?
right?
What happened?
We still haven't gotten an official date, right?
No.
Didn't they say a window?
They said
they said holiday. They said holiday.
Holiday 2021 or
yeah,
something
that's
like
what they said.
So, I'm surprised that this donut chain isn't promoting Forza Horizon 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, because it's in Mexico. Yeah.
It's in Mexico.
Yo, Carlos, I know.
Oh, there's also a Krispy Kreme thing, right, with Xbox Series X or whatever.
Outside of the United States, they're making like an Xbox donut.
Oh.
What?
Here,
Why did they do that here?
I don't know. I mean, it's not the first time.
Adam, why didn't they do it?
Remember in Australia, they had the onesie,
why?
the Xbox onesie.
Why?
I always wanted that onesie. I never got it.
Oh.
It was like a jumpsuit. It looked like you were a reject from Slipknot because it was like a white collar.
Reject from Slipknot.
By the way, shout out to Jordy Jordanson, man.
Yeah. R.I.P.
So yeah, it says right here, why wait till November? We get this party started now. Krispy Kreme, but it's a Mexican ad. Very interesting,
Yo, Carlos, I know what happened when they deployed it to the servers.
Oh,
Every
Oh.
monitor came up with Craig's face, and they're like, "Yo, shut it off!
Shut it off, shut
It's
it off.
broken! Shut it off!"
Pull the plug. Pull the plug.
Oh man. All right, so we'll see if things improve with the Halos.
Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite.
Do you guys think they'll actually get out this holiday?
Here's the thing. I said last year, like, they have to launch Halo, but they didn't, so I don't want to make that statement again. So I'm not saying shit.
So you're not going to reach.
No, I'm not going to reach. You know? By the way, speaking about delays, they delayed Stray, the cat game, Cyberpunk cat game. Yeah.
Kitty cat
Well,
game. Yeah,
they
but
also-
they showed some gameplay of it. He was walking around doing cat things.
Yeah. Robots scared him, you know.
They also delayed Kenu.
Yeah, Kenna got
Kena?
delayed. Yeah, Kenna, I think it is. Not Keanu, not Keanu.
Keanu.
Whoa.
Yo.
Yeah, Kenna's Bridge of Spirits is September now, so I have to delay by a month, by month, because some of these games are getting delayed by a year. You know, Cyberpunk effect, man. I'm telling you,
Oh.
and that's still delayed too if you think about it.
So the Kenna isn't part of the topics, right?
No,
I just want to give a shout out to the team. They said we're delaying this by a month because it's not ready and there's bugs that we need to fix that we want to make sure it's ready for the release. That's all you have to say.
But then that's exactly what that other company also said.
Yeah, that is
Do
true.
that too.
When
Bam,
they
bam,
delayed it
bam, bam, bam.
but yeah, like it was like 2 days before launch. They're like, "Hey, we're delaying it by like a month because it's not ready yet," and we all thought, "Okay, that's fine." And then look what happened there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You're talking about the company that everyone brings up now as a anecdote for this.
Yep.
So the difference is, and the reason why I mentioned it is they didn't bring up the Rona as an excuse. They just said they weren't ready. Everyone and their mama is saying, "Oh, because of COVID, we can't." You know, they had to be delayed for the fourth time.
Yeah, but just because that they don't say it, it doesn't mean that it's not true.
No, I'm
mean-
saying like
They could easily be delayed by the Rona and then just not mention it.
Yeah. Oh man, Ember Labs didn't hype this game for 8 years. Said Kid Shack.
Well, but what I'm saying is, they let when they don't bring up, different types of excuses, the onus is always on them. If they bring up the Rona, then obviously a lot of people are going to feel sympathetic behind that, and then they can use it to their advantage. So I just respect when a studio says, "Hey, we're not ready because there's still things to fix." No, it could be the Rona. It could be our boss is freaking crazy. It could be that we need money. It could be any multitude of things. But as long as they just leave it to them being not ready I think is more respectable for me. It's like
Yeah. I just say let the game do the talking.
yeah,
That's
no
fair.
for sure.
So yeah, Kenna, Stray, a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, last topic of the night. We gotta talk about Blue Box, bro.
Oh no.
Gotta talk about Blue Box because I think at this point these guys are just trolling for the sake of trolling. So they launched their app, which isn't working, right, Manny?
No, it's working. It just says come back later.
Yeah. So they got that.
Because
yeah.
because what the app is it's essentially a real-time demo system, right? So in other words, when you run the trailers, you're just supposedly going to be running the trailers in real time. As I keep saying, because nobody remembers this, but years ago when Killzone 2 came out for PS3, there was this ad with the bullet, right? Where a guy shoots this bullet and you track the bullet through all the different people
I
and all
remember.
that stuff. And that was actually done in engine, and what you could do is you could download that trailer and you could rotate it around, change the reflection, see what all the different things, and put audio commentary on it. So that's what I'm thinking is what they're sort of trying to do here. They're trying to demo their game, show what the game is going to look like with this supposed real-time thing, as opposed to having a pre-recorded deal. Now, why you need to preload this silly thing doesn't make a lick of sense, because it's like it's also incredibly difficult to find in the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
Like you can't just type abandoned into the PlayStation search engine like on your PC, just or and just instantly find it. It just doesn't show up. So yeah, you when people loaded this thing up, it just sort of tells you what the thing is, and it says come back later. So that's what they're gonna do, and then I think August 10th, they're gonna reveal some sort of trailer or something like that. But the biggest troll with these guys is the fact that they did an advertisement for this app, and it says abandoned, and then it shows this a blurry guy in the background with an eye patch on.
Yeah, it's like, all right, guys, because everybody's already thinking, there's a Kojima connection. A guy with an eye patch, what's the first thing you think of?
What is the first thing you think
Solid
of?
Snake.
Yeah.
You think Solid Snake or Big Boss?
Yeah.
I actually think of a pirate, in fact.
Think of a pirate. Think of pirates.
Yeah, but it's like with a
Eye patch.
Kojima connection, it's like the first thing you think.
It's the
think of
first
Big
thing you
Boss,
think, and they're supposedly, we're have no involvement with Kojima. Yeah, I understand you don't have, but you're literally fucking trolling here, guys.
Yeah.
I'm saying these guys are either one of two things. If this is a Kojima thing, it is the stupidest thing ever because it's again the same old bullshit that he tried to pull before that didn't fucking fool. Joaquin Morgan, which didn't fool anybody. Number two, if it is these guys, they are the stupidest company on the fucking planet because as soon as this shit if this thing you find out that this shit isn't what everybody thinks it is, they're gonna drop off like a bad habit.
Yeah, no, you're
Or
right.
worse,
If they're gonna get death threats, you already know.
Yeah, you're gonna get death threats. You're gonna get all kinds of shit. No, these guys are either they're stupid or it's a dumb Kojima ploy.
All right, hold on. What's going on? I'm being told that they have a new image like a door from Silent Hills. I think now these guys are just trolling.
No, they're fucking trolling. It's this stupid. Who does that? Who essentially decides that our marketing campaign is to make it seem like it's a fucking Kojima game? That is the dumbest thing ever.
And why isn't Sony saying anything? It's supposedly a PlayStation exclusive,
Yeah.
And I just letting these idiots just run with this stupid joke,
Yeah.
So yeah, listen, man, I'm just gonna say it. I don't feel sorry for whatever happens to them after this because they brought this on themselves.
I don't even with any of their little things. I don't even retweet the shit because I think it's just the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah,
ridiculous. Even comment on it. You know why? Yeah. Because the minute that you said and I said this before about a lot of things in the media, you want this shit to go away. Don't give it any sort of attention. Look away. Don't even acknowledge that it exists.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen.
No, it's not gonna happen. Everybody's gonna be. That's why a lot of stupid shit like idiotic headlines on stupid articles exists is because people can't resist the urge to look.
Yeah, I'm surprised Kotaku didn't have any of those headlines this week, like they did for the last month.
Yeah.
So
that's their. If they're independent studio, that's their marketing campaign. Try to look like a Kojima game without actually saying it's a Kojima game or Kojima related. Stupid ass shit.
Yeah, it's dumb. All right, I think that's gonna pretty much do it for. I don't want to talk about the Activision shit. That's still going on, but I do not want to talk. Like I said before, we'll talk about it after the trial. That's all, because right now it's just people just assuming all this stuff. We're not trying to get into any of that.
I think the minute once the trial is out in the field, and then we have all the information out there, then I think it's better to sort of kind of like what happened with when was it one of those guys, Epic Games was trying to sue Apple, right? Because of all that, and all that shit started falling out. Like, oh, hey, that's Gio Corsi said this shit. Blah 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 said this shit. So yeah, I think when we wait, we see what the stories come out. Because obviously you have to. All this stuff is public. So yeah.
I think it's important to mention that Activision is quickly on the precipice of overtaking EA as the most hated company.
Yeah, right.
And to the point where even their employees are, walking out, and
Yeah, that's the big thing that
kind of-
happened. They walked out this week.
So it's crazy, man. This is good. I think this is going to lead to a bigger thing, and we'll see what happens when everything falls out with all the court trials and stuff. So they're not in a good whatever way you think this is going to go. Activision is not in a good spot, and that some of the responses and some of the things that have been said from the top management has not gone over well, and it's crazy.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that more once the actual trial is underway and
Heads are going to roll regardless
Yeah.
of whatever happens.
Well, I'm just going to say this real quick. Might be a little bit petty, but I don't care. I find it funny that a bunch of these sites that were grandstanding, oh, we're not going to cover Activision anymore. We're horrified by what they've done. They all came back to report about this shit. So I was wrong. I gave them a month. It was just a couple of days. They started reporting on Activision again. Because I found that silly. I'm like, you're a video game website, and you're not going to cover one of the biggest gaming companies out there. You're not going to cover Call of Duty. You're not going to cover Overwatch. You're not going to cover World of Warcraft. You're not going to cover Diablo. All right, bro. Let's see how long that lasts.
No, that's not. They say these things because they don't want anybody to come at them, right? But in the end, they're always going to come back. Anytime, like you have all these guys talking about this stuff, like, oh, we hate crunch. We strongly, hate this company, and yet and all they're still talking about the games.
I'm going to say this. Oh, what's up, Brett?
That makes it worse.
Yeah.
The fact that they're saying that they're not going to do it. Like, I'm going to stand on my principles and my integrity, and I'm not going to listen, and I'm not going to report on this company. Actually, when it turns out there's one thing that's more important than principles, and that's money.
Yep.
By the way,
That's all it is.
Yeah, I gotta do it. Jason Schreier, bro.
I'm gonna say this. That motherfucker needs to go jump in the lake, because he says on his thing, "Oh, hey, I heard about this. I knew about this shit
for
so
years."
Then why the fuck didn't you make a fucking expose like you're doing with the goddamn
Unions.
Because he says he didn't know about it.
No, he said he goes, "Oh, I've heard about this for years."
Exactly. He said, "I've known about this for years. I didn't know about this. I was as shocked as everybody." And then it switches between, I didn't know about this. I was doing investigation, but I couldn't confirm, and I didn't know. Like he can't really seem to change. Like even after people are like, "You just said on this website," and they're like, "Yeah, well, I heard about it from people that were associated with Gamergate, and so I didn't listen to them." And people are like, "Okay, so
bro.
now evidence matters where it comes from."
So the guy with his connections can't go contact somebody at Blizzard and investigate that, right?
No.
Really?
No.
He said himself he dismissed it out of hand because of the people who were telling him. Like,
okay.
He condemns himself so many times.
Yeah.
He's digging his own grave, man.
Yeah.
No. This is what's going on. Jason Schreier knows what bridges he can burn and wants to burn. Activision at that point in time was not one that he wanted to burn, so he knew about all of this.
Oh yeah.
He had people contacting him. He knew exactly what was going on, and he didn't say shit. He was he talks about crunch. He talks about crunch, and I'm pretty sure he talks about the companies that he doesn't really care about messing with, but the ones that he doesn't want to mess with, he just stays shut.
All about that access, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because again, where was that expose years ago, bruh? If you knew about it. And it just so happened that now you're talking about it now when it's actually in the news, right? That's when you're talking about it. And this goes to, and real quick, Adam, and this goes to show, and we've said this for a long time about this guy, because he's out there trying to talk about how he's all altruistic. This guy's a fucking, he's so fake. He doesn't care about the people he covers. He only covers his shit because he knows it's in the headlines, because he knows it'll make him money. He doesn't give a goddamn about any of these people. He's a fraud, bro.
No, that's exactly it. He holds it to his chest until the moment is right, rather than doing a big old expose, doing some research like he was doing with that stuff. with all the crunch that was happening. How come you didn't do this? How did crunch trump these other things that are working?
This is beautiful. This is beautiful.
The bigger question is, how does it all fall on him? If it's that big of a news, others would have seen it and known about it, and this would have come out.
Because they could definitively link him to having known it. Because
that's just one person. That's one person. There should be more people. Somebody told him, so that's how he would have known.
No, several people told. He said he's known this from several people for years.
There you go. What happened to those people?
And his friend was bragging about it on Twitter. Like one of the guys that we're talking about, like he saw it on Twitter and just like turned a blind eye to it, man.
That's what I'm saying. It's like we're over here talking about as if like he's the only person that knew.
No, we're not talking about. We're saying why, if he, Mr. Expose, if he knew about this, why the fuck didn't he say anything years ago? That's all we're asking.
Is that he couldn't confirm it. He just heard.
He could confirm it.
Listen. If he can confirm with a bunch of people that have been working late hours and doing crunch and not getting paid, he can totally confirm with a bunch of people whether they've been abused or sexually harassed on the job, unless he doesn't believe people on purpose.
Well, that's what he said. He said he dismissed it outright because of the source. He admitted it. Great reporting there, bud.
Well, but here's the other thing. Then that source, why couldn't that source just go to somebody else?
Maybe they did.
Just him.
Yeah.
How do you know they didn't?
Again, we're not putting we're not putting all this on him. We're just saying he isn't about that life, man.
Yeah, hold on, Adam. This isn't about him. Like he was the one that was supposed to report this. It was foretold in the pages, and we were waiting on him. No, it's just a guy who proved that he knew about it ahead of time, and then tried to high road motherfuckers, constantly acting like he's the altruistic one, all the while helping to be complicit in a cover up of sexual assault. It's not that we expected him to break this.
It's just too much on one person to look that far into all of that. There should be more people.
He was already in the middle of it. See, dude, that's the thing. Like,
if he had hold on. Fine. You just said it. Adam. You all said it. He backed out. He didn't think it was a reliable source. So if I was the person complaining and the guy that I thought was going to help me doesn't help me, I'll go to somebody else. So then that means another outlet probably heard him, because I'm pretty sure somebody else.
How do you think we eventually heard about it?
We heard about it, but it's from how many years? He said it was years ago.
No, we heard about it. We heard about it because there was a
lawsuit.
A lawsuit on it. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, but my point still stands. It's like this guy knew about it. He didn't say anything. And again, the reason we're just singling him out is because he is Mr. Expose. So my point is this guy only strikes when it was opportune to him. That's it. He doesn't care about the people he covers. Not at all. No.
Here, Adam, let me put it in a metaphor for you. We're basically talking about somebody who witnessed, say, like a fight happen, somebody beating the shit out of somebody else, and then the person standing near them didn't do anything. And you're saying, well, it's not like the person near them was responsible for going out, having to find this fight and then stop it. Yes, I would agree, except, again, that person was in the proximity of the act happening and also claims to be Batman. So you kind of see where people are like, oh, so this kind of seems like the thing that you would take care of, and you were there in the middle of it?
He's just the face that people want to punch, and so it's an easy punch. But there's others that can be punched at the same time. So.
Go ahead, Brian.
That's all.
Okay. Adam, I think what you also, again, to answer your question as to why didn't the source go elsewhere to get it to be reported on, what's to say that Schreier didn't turn around and say to all his cronies, like, hey, don't listen to this source because this source is affiliated with this people. Because again,
then we're going again to just one source. If this was we just saw mass walkout. There's so many other voices. Don't tell me just one person decided out of the hundreds.
We're not saying that though, man.
I know you're not. I know you're not. I'm just pointing it out.
Adam, are you? Do you think these threads wouldn't be deleted? Like that's kind of the problem is when people start talking about this shit on certain forums. Other people shut down the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that too.
We saw it happen firsthand. It's why didn't Gamergate turn out different? Yeah, but just because it
Too
did
many
the way that
voices,
it did.
man. There's too many voices.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but
I'm never gonna
but,
buy it. I'm never gonna buy it for anything. Not just this, for anything. I've heard too many times big companies, and then they're like, "Well, there's this one person. It's got to be more. Don't tell me just one person. Even if he was the worst source, he was a cleaning guy who said he heard something and wasn't directly connected. There are other voices. Because look what happened now. We see with everything. As soon as the floodgate opens with one, a whole bunch come out. Yeah, I saw it. I did it. I did this. You did. Okay, then where were you all before? So I don't like when it's a single to one person, to one source, to one outlet. All
it
wrong.
wasn't
All
one
wrong.
source of one person. It was a group of people discussing evidence on
That's
different.
not what
Well,
you
it
just
was-
said. That's not what
Yeah,
anyone just said.
again, we're going off on a whole tangent here. We're just talking
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Jason Schreier not being about that life, and that's it. That's all we're saying. We're not saying this is all his fault or whatever. We're not saying anything. We're just saying this dude
Well, I'm
is phony and a fraud. That's all I'm saying, and I think we're done here because we're just going in circles right now.
I agree with Tony.
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say
all.
that-
That's all I'm
I'm
saying about
gonna
that.
say-
And again, we will see what happens with the result when the trial happens. So we're not going to litigate that here. Go ahead.
Yep. Let's go with that.
Yeah. All right.
I
Yeah,
do
go ahead,
have
Brian.
some things to say, but I can't say them on air because
All right. Yeah. We'll just
they are
drop
slightly
this.
too saucy.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing because I got some other opinions too, but we're not going to talk about that.
Let me put up this in Depot. All we're saying is that as a journalist, he did not do a good job on reporting this, whatever you want to call it. We're strictly speaking on his professionalism when in proximity to
So
a.
you're saying it
his-
would have
his-
been better if he didn't say anything?
No,
No,
we're not saying
I'm
that
saying
at
it
all.
would've
We're
been
just saying
better
this
if
guy's not about that
been in-
life. That's all
No,
I'm
I
saying.
know we know this, but let's say he didn't say that last comment about. Well, I sort of heard about this a while ago, but I didn't trust it. So what if he didn't say that?
No, he said.
But he did say it.
I know what he
Adam,
said. I know
Adam,
what
let
he
me-
said.
Let me put it real simply for you. He was an investigative reporter in proximity to a huge story and didn't manage to crack it, even when people came directly to him with evidence. That
And
means
he said
he's-
this. And he said this.
Yes.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
That's
Yes.
my point. That's my point. He said this.
Okay.
He said it.
Yeah,
Then he
and
didn't
it
have
proves
to
that
say
that he's not about that life.
If we're exactly there, you go. But the whole point is that he said it. He didn't have to.
He
so then
said it
somebody
in
else
response
could have
to
said
everybody dogging on him. Yes, he did
He
have
could've-
to.
he could've-
He
no,
didn't, no,
he didn't.
He
Why?
didn't get in front of this thing, Adam.
We didn't know
He-
this.
he-
I'm not saying he did get in front of it. So what? He didn't. Who gives a shit if he didn't? I'm
It
saying
was
somebody
only when
else
people
could've.
it was only okay. So what happened was the lawsuit came out, everybody found out, and then everybody went back and pulled up the old forums and said, "See, we told you." That's
And
how
then
this
he said-
whole thing
And then
started.
he came out and said, "Yeah, I heard it. Didn't trust it." Okay, so what the fuck? Who cares? That's my thing. Somebody else should have jumped in then. Let somebody
Okay,
else. If
what-
there's all these people now, let somebody else jump in
What?
and then tell the news. Go tell New York Times. Go tell the Post. Go tell
Dude,
anybody
Adam,
who will
it's
listen.
his job though. He doesn't get to
It's
sit
not-
there.
Oh my god!
No, no.
He's not with one person. Holy
Dude,
He's a
shit!
reporter, though,
dude,
bruh.
He is one person who did a bad job.
I
at
think-
his job.
Oh
I think-
man,
I
this
think-
is
I think-
disgusting.
Hold on. I gotta
I
ask.
think-
I gotta
I
ask.
think-
Hold on. Can I? But
This is
Adam,
disgusting.
what would you have to
Who
do to be a
cares?
bad job as an investigative
A
reporter?
bad job. Investigate. So he investigates. He dropped the ball. Okay, he's got other things going. Who fucking knows? It doesn't matter. The whole point is there's other people there. It's not like if it was an abusive relationship, right? Let's say it's just two people involved in this, and the person is getting abused and tells only one person that no one's going to listen to me. I'm telling you,
Just tell one
Doesn't
person,
help.
and it wasn't about them.
This
Just
is-
Oh,
this
I
is
got-
a company.
let's-
This is
let
a
me-
company.
let-
We're seeing a bunch of people come out right now.
Let me-
Hundreds of people. So more miles are out there. We're all talking about it. Somebody would tell somebody else, and then someone would grab this story. We're talking about. It's a juicy story. It's a fucking juicy story. Even if
And
it's
that's why
bullshit,
Jason Schreier
it's
is
a
jumping
juicy
on
story.
it now because it's juicy and it's hot, and he
This
saw
is-
the
but this is
opportunity
whole-
because
this is
he's
whole-
fucking a
we just said
fraud,
it.
bro.
We just said so fine. Fuck it. I don't care. I have no stock in that. I don't.
Why are you
give a shit if
arguing?
it's a fraud. I'm
And why-
arguing because I don't care that it's one person, and you're making it seem like he's investigating.
Well, it sounds like you do care.
It's
Yeah.
because
He failed.
He's
It's
like, you're
because you
ganging
think
up on
we're
my
all
boy
going-
Jason. That's what he's like,
Yeah.
yo, man.
Yo, man, from way back, he's from Brooklyn, son.
I don't want you
I
to
don't
mess
like
with
the
my boy.
idea of going after one person for a major
JC
corporation.
used
for
to, me and
horrible
JC used to
scandal.
go out on the streets. We used to get some,
It's
get some
bullshit.
herbs.
It's just-
All right, yo, we're ending it. We're done. We are done.
Adam,
We are done.
wait, wait,
No,
wait.
no, Brian, no,
I
Brian,
just
no,
have-
no,
I
no. Okay,
I like one thing that will like put in context as to why we're very annoyed at Jason, right?
because he's not about that life, bro.
Okay, Adam.
Fine. It's not
Adam,
him that
wait.
I'm after, though.
Adam, what you have to remember is that Jason Schreiber is a person who grandstands himself on people abusing women is bad. He was told a story about people abusing women from a source, and he did not investigate it with his trusted sources. That is concerning, and that's why we're like, hey, this is odd. Like, why not?
So then why not the next person? Why did we have to wait years? Somebody else must have helped.
All right. Okay. Guys. We're done. We're done because we're going in a fucking circle. We are done. Manny, plug some stuff.
Oh yeah, we got some stuff here, man. Unfortunately, I don't have Static number 2 because DC didn't send me any comps. Unfortunately, sometimes that happens. But I got my own thing because I do this shit. Anyway, got Skybound X number 4, which is a story drawn by myself and Kari Randolph. So I drew most of it, and Kari did a couple pages. So we're teaming up to do a little story about the future of excellence. We did a giveaway, but you motherfuckers just didn't decide to call us up. I guess you don't want nothing free. But we'll do another spin of the wheel on the next Throw Down Your Questions, which is this Sunday. So keep out for that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Manny. So I'm reading me some comics.
Really?
Yeah, and because I'm, it's 6 months behind on DC comics, so I'm reading the future state stuff, right? So I'm reading Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman a little bit more. Like they have a backup story in the first Wonder Woman one, right?
Yes.
What do I see here? I'm like, I recognize that. I recognize these colors. So that's Nubia right there. You and Aletha Martinez.
Yes, Aletha.
She's really good.
Cool.
Yeah, look really good stuff.
Aletha Martinez, we sort of go back because me and Aletha. Well, Aletha used to draw backgrounds for Joe Quesada when he was drawing Daredevil, the one that was written, the one that was written by Kevin Smith years ago. So when I interned there, I used to see her. I used to see her there, pretty much, drawing all the backgrounds and doing all that stuff. So. Yeah, she's been working in it. She's what is called a journeyman. She's been in the comics industry for a very long time. So it's sort of fun to kind of come back and essentially work with somebody I knew for quite a while. And also, it's inked by Mark Morales, who's another person who used to work at Marvel when I was there too, and he was just trying to get into the industry.
Yo, man, you bringing the band back?
So yeah, it was sort of like a fun little reunion. I used to talk to Mark Morales. He used to hang out at the in-house artist desk all the time, looking for work or seeing what little things he could get. And was it 98? So how long is that? 30 years?
Something like that. That's
something like that. Long, like we'll say 20 years. I don't know. I'm rounding it off or whatever. But yeah, 20 years later, and we're all working on Nubia, and we've also worked on a couple other things too. Me and Aletha.
By the way, Manny, this
on...
is what you got. Static number 2.
Yep, Static number 2. That's out right now. That's me and Kari on the cover, and the folks on the inside. We got Chris Cross and everybody, doing their thing. So hopefully, it does really well, and they keep making seasons. I don't know why they call it seasons. It's kind of silly, but whatever.
Who knows?
What are you gonna do? Go binge it at the end, right?
Comics, Anyway,
Yo, speaking of comics, a quick PSA. I just found out. Maybe I'm late to the party. If you have Amazon Prime, you automatically have their Amazon Prime book service, and their Amazon Prime book service involves full graphic novels of some of the classic comic arcs like House of M and Flashpoint.
Oh wow, That's cool.
So yeah, you can go in and if you want to if you've watched the movies, haven't read a lot of comics, want to kind of catch up on some of at least the big events, shit's free if you have Prime. Jump on it.
Yeah,
stuff.
There you go.
All right, Adam, what you got, bro?
There's a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff over at the Coalition. Also got that review for The Ascent.
Yes, it's out right now on Game Pass.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. Yeah, go check it out. It's definitely good.
That's the Cyberpunk game, right?
It's a Cyberpunk game.
Yeah, it's gonna stick around for a while. This is definitely gonna be a new franchise.
Oh,
it's
hot
definitely
High praise.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great series.
You know. Oh man.
Yep.
All right,
Oh,
man.
that'll be up.
Yeah, good stuff. And Walking Dead's coming back
and
soon.
the nuke.
Yeah, well,
The
August
nuke.
15th, we got time. Oh, that's coming back. A bunch of hell, Dexter's coming back. We got Dexter coming within like a few weeks, so I'm very interested on how they're gonna redo that because it's a continuation, like the next week after from what we saw. So they're not doing a big time jump.
Yeah,
I'm a favorite saw Dexter.
They released the Walking Dead video, and it's like this is a long ass fucking trailer showing everything.
Damn.
Yeah, I stopped halfway through. I'm like, I need to be surprised. Don't do this shit. I hate when I watch
Drop
too
that
many
nuke.
movie trailers. You know, we've all done this. We've all seen it. So too many movie trailers to the point where like, yo, I know the whole movie now. I saw beginning and end. I know it all. Yeah, Dune. There you go.
We did it with Dune. Yeah,
Too much.
Tumeke.
it's to make it.
Yeah, but in a bad way. So Tumeke is supposed to be a good thing, you know. All right, we're done here, people. So the plugs. So make sure you follow us on Twitch and Twitter and hit the Discord where it is always popping. You can find us on any podcast app by searching for Throwdown Show. That's 2 words, Throwdown Show. And give us at throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. And if you're watching us on YouTube and you enjoyed this episode, be sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified of when we upload videos to YouTube. That is Throwdown episodes and Throwdown clips. And occasionally a game stream from Manny.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, man. Links to all that good jazz is down below. Once again, I was your host, Tony Polanco. Tonight, I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris.
Watch Jeopardy.
Yes. Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Adam Vale.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Don't drink and drive.
Don't mess with his boy. Don't mess with Jason.
You know. Jason.
Be
Brett.
nice to your caseworkers. That's what my point is. Be nice to your caseworkers.
You know. Oh, man. Brett Murdoch.
But it wasn't up to him.
And Brian Majoma.
I wonder what the controversy will be next week.
Yeah, right.
Always something.
Gaming industry. All right, people. We'll see you. Peace out.
That biz.
This is
Peace.
Sarate.